In 1888, a man made a deal. He promised a land rich with gold and fertile soil. But the truth was simple. This man was Cecil John Rhodes, a diamond magnate with dreams of an empire. And the land he claimed would one day be called Zimbabwe. By the late 19th century, Europe had turned Africa into a map to be divided. At the Berlin Conference, men in polished boots and heavy coats drew lines across territories they had never seen. For them, Africa was not a home. It was a chessboard. Cecil Rhodes looked southward and saw not people, but profit. Diamonds had already made him one of the richest men in Britain. But he dreamed of something greater, a belt of colonies stretching from the Cape to Cairo, each carrying his name in its shadow. To claim Zimbabwe, Rhodes needed a signature. He sent his agents to King Lobengula of Ndebele. They arrived with gifts, alcohol, and false promises. The king was told they wanted only the right to mine. What he signed in the Rudd Concession of 1888 was a contract in English, a language he did not read. It granted mining rights, yes, but Rhodes twisted it. He claimed it gave him the authority to rule, to police, to govern. In one stroke of ink, land that had belonged to generations was declared property of the company. Armed with this false agreement, Rhodes marched forward. The British South Africa Company, his private army dressed as settlers, pushed into the land with rifles and Maxim guns. Villages burned. Fields were fenced. The soil of Zimbabwe, once sacred to its people, was renamed Rhodesia, after the man who had never owned it. For ordinary families, it meant dispossession. Ancestors' graves were left behind. Sacred rivers were seized, and land that once fed generations was taken for mines and plantations. An entire country had been reduced to a corporate colony. But the land remembered. It whispered in the voices of spirit mediums. It rose in the first liberation of 1896, when farmers, warriors, and villagers fought against Rhodes' empire. They carried spears against rifles, faith against empire. The uprising was crushed. Thousands died, but its fire survived, carried in songs, in memory, in silence. Decades later, it sparked again in the Second War, Zimbabwe's Liberation War. And in 1980, the nation reclaimed its name, Zimbabwe, an indigenous word meaning house of stone. Cecil Rhodes sold a country he never owned. But land is not a contract. It is not an empire. It breathes through rivers, through stone, through the voices of those who return to it.